Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. My goodness, it's been a while since I've been able to consistently make videos, but I have been on a hiatus. For those of you who are members in this community, who are audience members in this space, you know that once in a while I take a break, and this time actually it's been really interesting. I've been, as some of you know, working on learning a little bit more on the technical side of game development. But today we're going to pivot our conversation to a broader range. Usually I will talk a little bit more about the Gotham Knights game, its cancellation, but I think there might be something that I've suspected for a while going on. And that might be the fact that it seems Warner Brothers may be going through some sort of a weird phase in terms of their entertainment. Now, I don't know how all of this has come into play. I don't know what the history may be, and I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you that we're going to trace some history down the memory lane. In fact, I don't think it'll be worth it, because one of the really cool things that, you'll notice is it'll be best to just spend our time, maybe moving on to other things after a little bit, because if you kind of think about it from the gamer's perspective, we've been expecting the game that maybe was called Gotham Knights, or the game that would have been something else that got canceled with Warner Brothers Montreal. We've been expecting that game for a number of years now. After Warner Brothers Games Montreal shipped Arkham Origins, I think that's more than likely, one of their major titles that they did by themselves, and then they supported Rocksteady for Arkham Knight, and then it seemed like they were going to be making a game on their own, and I think that game was the one that got canceled, the one that was supposed to maybe be about Damian Wayne. There were leaked concept art material about it, so that's how we kind of know that there was something in the works. So that getting canceled itself, it was like, okay, so what's the next step? Well, I think we then found out in August of last year, 2020, that Gotham Knights was going to be the last, was basically the next step for them, including whatever they maybe had been working on, according to Osama Dorias, who's actually one of the developers within the studio. But other than that, it seems like it's been really strange and it's been really weird, because the creative director on Gotham Knights was actually, if you look at his LinkedIn, he's actually been at the studio for a number of years. So I think my question is, I wonder what the entirety of the creative direction has been like in the past few years. And this is just from looking at Warner Brothers Games Montreal and comparing them, and let's do it this way, I want to be fair, comparing them with other studios that are within basically the same caliber, maybe with underneath other publishers, like say maybe an Ubisoft studio, maybe say Ubisoft Montreal, or well, they say Ubisoft Quebec or Ubisoft Toronto, which are other studios as well that are located in Canada. Apparently Canada does have a very friendly, you would say, business environment for tech companies, especially the video game side of things. Those companies have been able to deliver some of their projects, and I think maybe the reason they've been able to do so is because of their vision being followed through. And on the other hand, Warner Brothers Games Montreal has not necessarily had a lot of that stability to follow through their vision, maybe from the corporate side of things because of a lot of the changes. And this is me speculating. This is probably what has cascaded to the point where Gotham Knights, is then a game that has now succumbed to the challenges that, the whole COVID thing brought on last year. If you kind of think about it, to me anyways, I think these may be the tug and pull that has pretty much, yanked the game into the next year's release cycle. But then there's also another thing that's quite peculiar. The Snyder Cut was released, and that was actually a big, huge, success in terms of accolades and praise from the fans, enjoying the entirety of that work and that project to the point where some people have watched it multiple times. I'm in my second watch, through of it. I mean, I'm not able to, just basically burn through the second time. But, it's very interesting. It gives you a lot of the reminders of what it could have been. It even, kind of in a sad way makes me realize that, Warner Brothers was sitting on pretty much what would have been Marvel's Avengers Endgame, and they basically decided that they were going to go with a different vision in releasing a version of the game or the movie, that didn't have the means to tell the story, or whoever decided that they were going to just release the first Justice League, basically did not necessarily calculate how much of story and world building needed to happen in that one movie to be able to sell it. Now, yes, compared to Marvel's Avengers, movies, they had been setting up the characters prior to the time the Avengers, pretty much assembled. And they did a good, huge setup with Iron Man, did a good, huge setup with Captain America. And then they started to bring in the Avengers little by little. In fact, by the time Captain America was getting his second movie, you would not have known that that was a Captain America movie. It felt like an Avengers movie because they had gelled the character so well. Even the Black Widow movie just seemed to be coming really late as well. I think that should have been done way earlier. But that's another point of the story. But it was then recently announced that, or it's being floated around anyways. I don't know if it's been announced. I wouldn't say announced. Let's say it's been floated around that the Snyder Cut is not going to basically be continuing any storytelling within the DC universe. Now, this is what's floating around. This could be another means to create tension in order to build more anticipation so that when finally they announce it, there might be some hype going on. I don't know. Or this could be a reality that they want to move in a different direction. But you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why would they want to move in a direction when they seem to have something good going? And it goes back to the same question that we can ask too with the Damian Wayne game that they were, maybe Warner Brothers once was working on. And the question would have been, why? Why cancel a Damian Wayne game when it seemed like it had something already going for it? And it seems when you kind of put this two hand in hand, you see this kind of a shift that was made in the past. And you look at this, new so-called direction that Warner Brothers wants to take. You just have to ask yourself, are the people running things really in tune with what entertainment's about? Or do they seem to have better plans ahead? Because right now, from the audience point, which is their customer base and the people who are in many cases very interested, or in every case, the ones that they're actually making their entertainment products for, seems like fans do want these things to happen, and fans have always wanted for them to continue with the DC storytelling from a movie perspective and from video game perspectives without further delay. But it seems like in the minds of those who are the decision makers, they seem to have something else. I wonder, or I would say I hope, that this is going to turn out to be something that works for everybody, because if not, it's going to be one of those we told you so moments. Hopefully they know what they're doing. I won't presume to know anything about how all these intricacies work. But again, it's one of those things where I just have to also, confirm that even on my end and on the end of most fans, it doesn't seem to make sense. But we'll hang in there. Hopefully we're going to see what this all progresses through. Maybe we'll get some more news about Gotham Knights. Maybe we'll get some more news about what, the Snyder storyline would be. But all this is going to be interesting, folks. But nonetheless, I'll talk to you guys in another video. Thank you so much for even taking the time to listen. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Peace out.